Welcome everybody to another episode of the Chicago White Sox franchise mode here as we prepare to face the really bad Detroit Tigers with a 15-40 record where half of their lineup is cold. And you ask, yeah, maybe I am playing this a little bit because I actually want to win a game, but really it's more just because I wanted to grab a game at the beginning of the month, and this is the first game of the month of May. As you can see, Luis Robert Jr., one of our players, getting ready for the game, getting hyped. There's Akil Baddoo, the bad man, one of their better players, and we're going to see if we can actually manage a win here for our struggling White Sox team, who are still a few games under 500. We get our first look at starter Mike Clevenger, which pretty deep into the season to be getting our first look at somebody, but I've been focusing on the other guys a little bit more because he is our fifth starter, and he's only here for this year. And the way he's playing, I doubt he'll be here much longer than that. But he would get off to a terrible start as Akil Baddoo, the bad man as I was talking about. He's a bad man, and he takes us yard on the very, very first at-bat of the game with a 355-foot homer, only his third of the year. He's not a huge power hitter, but he was able to hit for power on Mike there. I think he just left that pitch hanging a little bit too much, and Baddoo made him pay, man. He got a good hold of that one and sent it out into the left field for a pretty good home run, and puts them up 1-0 on the very first at-bat of the day. But Matt Vierling would come up with a 167 batting average, and Clevenger would strike him out pretty easily. Up next would be Kerry Carpenter. He would end up just popping out here as Moncada gets under it, and he should have a pretty easy catch, and he does. So we would get out of the first inning without any more damage. After that, Akil Baddoo homer on the very first at-bat. But definitely not a great way to start for Clevenger, who at least only gave up that one. Clevenger, like I said, he's a pretty middle-of-the-road, just okay pitcher. He's not great, he's not terrible. He's the fifth starter in our lineup, and we don't need much more than that. Spencer Turnbull would be at the mound for the Detroit Tigers here. He has a 2-8 record and a 3.02 ERA, and I would be lying if I said that I hadn't at least considered him as a trade option later in the season. The only holdback really being that he's an in-division player, but it's not like the Tigers are challenging for anything, so honestly I feel like if we wanted him, we could get him. So maybe this is a little bit of a scouting run for us if we decided we needed a better pitcher for the end of the season if we did want to try to make a playoff run. But it's not going to start great for him as Tim Anderson does hit one to the far right field, bloops it into far right, and gets a nice single. And Benintendi gets a great hold of this one. It's a line drive out dead center, and it will fall in front of the wall as Vierling tries to field it and really can't. And Andrew Benintendi gets an easy double, and it looks like Tim Anderson is not going to challenge for the getting home. He probably could have gotten there and equalized 1-1, but he's not going to try for the run on this one, as a great hit from Benintendi just gets past the center fielder, who probably could have caught that but just couldn't quite find his spot and doesn't manage to make the catch. We skip forward here to Luis Robert Jr. coming up. He has a 276 average, almost 800 OPS, just pretty solid, but he would indeed ground out here. But at least we are going to be able to get a run here as Tim Anderson makes his way home off of that hit from Luis Robert Jr. And then Eloy Jimenez puts one in play and gets Benintendi home as well. So it's going to be 2-1 here at the bottom of the first, and we have already taken a lead after going down early from that home run from Akil Baddoo. So that is just great to see. Honestly fantastic. And we're going to end the first inning. That would be all the damage we would do. Eloy Jimenez would never get to make it home. But we do go up 2-1. And hopefully Clevenger can keep things clean here as pitching way outside to Jonathan Scope. And the umpire says that he went around. I'm going to be honest. I feel like that's really merciful to us. But I'm not going to complain. As we would then skip to Javier Baez here, who would take Clevenger yard for the second time today. Javier Baez grabs his fourth homer this season, 421 feet, as he absolutely ripped that one to right center field. And, oh man, that is just not good to see as Clevenger leaves another pitch hanging here. You can see here he looks confident in the build-up, throws it, but that is just way too close to the middle on that fastball, and Baez took advantage, absolutely ripping that one into the stands. A fantastic home run for Javier Baez, but not a fantastic start for us, as it is now 2-2. That would be the only damage. He would strike out Nick Maton there to get the third out of the inning, but the second inning doesn't go much better than the first, with us making it equal once again at 2-2. Javier Baez, a guy who is known for being impatient and not very well disciplined, gets an easy home run on a pitch that was just left hanging. And we would skip forward here to the top of the third, where Clevenger would walk the first batter, and then Akil Baddoo, who walked just moments before, 2 outs later would end up stealing a base here, as Eric Haas is at the plate. And hopefully nothing more than that, as it does seem Eric Haas will ground out to Moncada here. Moncada fields it well, gets it to the third baseman, and that is well played. We skip forward here to the bottom of the third, and Benintendi starts this one off really well. He already had that first really good double, and this one's going to make its way past the left fielder as he has another stand-up double. Andrew Benintendi starting this game fantastically with only his second at-bat of the day, grabbing 2 doubles already today. And then Luis Robert Jr. on his second at-bat of the day seems like he's going to get a pretty good RBI single here, and he is. Benintendi makes his way all the way from second to home, and that is a great RBI for Luis Robert Jr. as Andrew Vaughn would come up, and he sadly is going to ground into a double play to end the third inning. And that's unfortunate, but at least Luis Robert Jr. grabs that single that would get Benintendi home, putting us once again into the lead, 3-2. Clevenger's doing his best here to see if he can get us a loss, but it's just not working out. And right as I say that, he absolutely dots the bottom right corner and gets an out on Austin Meadows. And then he would actually had a really good slider there that gets Scope swinging. I think he was expecting a fastball and just swung too early on the 79-mile-per-hour slider away. And then Clevenger would get another one. Javier Baez this time strikes out on the slider away. And he did not leave one hanging for him this time, as that's the Javier Baez we all know and love. As we skip forward to the top of the fifth, where he would strike out Nick Maton. Akil Baddoo coming up, and he's having a pretty good day here, and it looks like this one might bloop into the outfield, but Benintendi is going to have time to get there. The left fielder makes his way to the ball and catches it well. Benintendi having a great day offensively and defensively, getting the out there. And we would skip now to the bottom of the fifth, where we would see that we just cannot really get anything going. Even Andrew Benintendi couldn't do anything. The past couple innings, our offense has kind of died off a little bit since we took the lead back 3-2. We're just not really doing much of anything anymore, as that would be the first out of the day for Andrew Benintendi. And moving forward here to the sixth, Jimmy Lambert would actually come in, the long reliever, taking place of Mike Clevenger, who hasn't allowed anything since the third, so I would say he recovered the day pretty well and ended up having a decent start, only allowing 2 earned runs, but the 2 homers to start off the day definitely wasn't great. Eric Haas would start off well in the 6th inning here on Jimmy Lambert, grabbing a single there, but hopefully that's all they get, as Elvis Andrus does a great job fielding this one. It should be a double play, but Vaughn gets dragged off of the plate by Tim Anderson. How many times have I said that already this season? Tim Anderson's accuracy, man, is absolutely killing us, and that's why I want to move him to second, because I just need someone with a better arm playing shortstop. Then Jimmy would walk Javier Baez, again somebody who has terrible discipline. You just cannot afford to walk somebody like that. And now Miguel Cabrera, a player who's been in the league for 5 ever, is up here, has a really long at-bat, but Jimmy Lambert, who's had a really good season as our long reliever, absolutely dots the corner on that fastball, and on a 3-2 count, gets the out on Miguel Cabrera and gets us through the inning cleanly. 6th inning goes well. We hold on to our 3-2 lead. And let's check out this pitch again, as he just pitched it right into that bottom corner. Cabrera didn't even swing. Thought for sure it'd be a ball and he was getting a walk, but he did not. A great job by Jimmy Lambert, who again is having a great season for us. As we would see Bo Brisk come on, taking the place of Spencer Turnbull, who had a pretty okay day. We earned 3 runs on him, just a few base hits, no homers, but a good day for us so far, as Andrew Vaughn would start things off well here. We're actually 2 outs in, but on the 3-2 count, he would grab a single. And let's see if we can get him home with Yohan Moncada. He's showing good patience here with a ball on that first pitch. And then, that 12-6 curve fell into the zone really nicely. He probably could have swung on it, and then he does swing at the high fastball. So we wouldn't get anything going in the 6th either, as it would end with us still up 3-2, clinging to this lead. But man, we would like to get some insurance runs just to try to make this a more surefire bet. Moving forward here with Jimmy Lambert still at the mound, and Akil Baddoo, who again is having a pretty solid day, would get on base once again, this time with a single, and he's going to steal another base as well. With our catcher today, Zavala, not showing an ability to pick people off, not something either of our catchers can really do, as neither of them has a great arm. And it wouldn't matter, though, because Jimmy Lambert gets Haas swinging on the slider away. Haas is a great hitter against lefties, but just okay against righties, as you can see there. And Jimmy Lambert having a really solid outing here as the long reliever, coming on giving us 2 really solid innings. And we would move forward here to the 8th, where Aaron Bummer, who's having a great season, has a 2.45 ERA, is doing just a great job, 17 strikeouts to 5 walks. Averages versus righties and lefties both under 200. He's doing a great job, the lefty, but he wouldn't start well, as here at the top of the 8th, he gives up a single. Andrew Benintendi fields it well, but Kerry Carpenter is on base. And then Austin Meadows would move him forward with a freaking bunt. He would ground out, of course, on the bunt, but he does advance the runner from first to second. And we would move forward here to Jonathan Scope, who's 0 for 3 on the day, but would get a walk. Aaron Bummer does occasionally seem to struggle with control, but he's usually able to rein it in. And we would see that here as we get the double play successfully this time, because thankfully Anderson's not the one who had to make the throw to first. He just had to have a light toss to second. He is able to do that. Anderson then would come up here, and he would get a great hit, because if there's one thing Tim Anderson can do, it's play offense. And he gets a great hit here into the gap of left field, and he gets a nice stand-up double. We've had several doubles today from him and Benintendi now. And Benintendi, speaking of, gets a really good hold of this fastball that just hung a little bit too much in the middle, and he's going to put that one in the bullpen. What a great hit from a guy who is mostly a contact hitter, but Andrew Benintendi got all of that one for his 7th homer of the year, 391 feet into the bullpen in right field. What a great hit. That's going to give us a great lead here. 5-2 now as we finally get a little bit of insurance, a little bit of breathing space as we try to take this one home. Great job by Andrew Benintendi, who's had a fantastic day with multiple doubles, 2 doubles, and a home run. Now, you've got to say he's definitely going to be the player of the game at this rate. What an offensive day he's having, and it's been so fun to watch. Eloy Jimenez then would come at the plate, and he gets a hold of this one as well. What a hit, and maybe this one will make it over the wall. It won't. Dead center is just a little too far here in this stadium, but Eloy Jimenez will also have a stand-up double once again. We've had a great day, and Bo Brisk would have his day ended with that one as Jason Foley, who's not had a much better season, comes up with a 4.42 ERA. And we would actually pinch hit Gavin Sheets here, and their manager said no immediately to when Gavin Sheets got pulled out. I don't know why. He's only got a 227 average. It's not like he's anything crazy, but he said absolutely not. Put the man on first, and it ended up being the right decision as they would get the ground out off of Zebi Savala, who's not playing well offensively or defensively today. He's done nothing, really. But we are up 5-2 thanks to an incredible solo performance so far from Andrew Benintendi, who I think we can safely say has been the best player today. Even with Luis Robert having multiple RBIs, it's definitely been Benintendi's ability to get extra bases and his ability to just hit for great power today, even though he's primarily a contact guy. Now, we've got Reynaldo Lopez coming on for the save because Liam Hendricks is out for a couple weeks with a light injury. Nothing serious, it's just a couple weeks, but Reynaldo Lopez is the closer today, and he would get the first out to fly out to center. Second one here is a ground out to Tim Anderson, who actually makes an accurate throw to third. Great job to get Nick Maton out once again. He's done nothing today. The third out's going to prove a little bit harder to get is Akil Baddoo, who's had a great day. 2 for 3 and a walk. He really does not want to get out. But here on the 1-2 count, a high fastball, 97 miles per hour, would be a great throw from a guy who's having a great year, Reynaldo Lopez. He's been really fun to watch for us this year. He's doing a great job, and I'm really happy to have him on the team. He would end up getting them out here, and that was great to watch. So we do actually come out with a victory here. Clevenger gets the win as Spencer Turnbull allowed one more run than he did, and Reynaldo Lopez gets his 4th save of the season, which for a guy playing as primarily a setup role is pretty good. Happy to see that from a really good player, and honestly, Reynaldo Lopez might find himself getting a contract extension as he is a free agent next year, but he's having a fantastic season for us out of the bullpen, and I want to hold on to anybody who's playing well for us in our bullpen, which has mostly been really rough this year. But a solid outing from the boys. Great to see us playing well, except for one error from Tim Anderson, but that's all right. We played really well for the most part, and we got the win. Pretty comfortable showing against a team who is significantly less good than us. 15-40 record, of course. We needed this win, but it's good to start off the month with a W, and hopefully we can carry that into some good form. Benintendi, like I said, 3 for 4 with a home run and 2 doubles. Absolutely fantastic day for him. Easily the player of the game. Clevenger gets his win, Turnbull gets a loss, and a save for Reynaldo Lopez. Baddoo had a really good day for the Tigers, but it wasn't enough from their leadoff man, as the rest of their team, most of which are under a 200 batting average, just weren't good enough, and their bullpen really blew it as well. I guess Turnbull got the loss, so he didn't do much better for himself, but they definitely didn't do him any favors as Foley gave up that home run, which would ice the game essentially from Andrew Benintendi. Thanks again to him for that. What a great game for Andrew Benintendi, and I'm so glad to say that we get the W and we start off this month hot. Coming out of that game, I would like to discuss a couple of trade options that I have come up with as we get a little further along in the season. We look for ways to try to make this team reach the postseason, which is something that I do think the Chicago White Sox organization wants to do this season. I understand there's a deep rebuild to be done because of how bad our farm system is and all of that, and it's a struggling roster, but there's a couple guys I want to look at as second base, shortstop options. Aledmus Diaz was one guy I looked at, but I don't think he would be that hard to get from the Athletics, a very struggling organization. And of course, David Fletcher is a guy I looked at because the Angels have him in AAA, but I think they actually need him in the roster. He's probably down there just recovering from some injuries that he's had. I think they'll pull him up to the MLB team here pretty soon because they honestly need him. But he would be a decent hitter. Aledmus Diaz as well has a pretty decent bat and would be a decent hitter to bring in, as well as a solid defensive player who wouldn't be difficult to get from a struggling Athletics organization. But a player that I've kind of landed on is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's a utility player that can play at so many, literally, except for third base, he can play at any position out there other than pitcher and first base, like I said. So just a guy that I think would be a really good pickup. He's got a positive WAR. He looks pretty solid. He's unfazed, got a good couple of quirks there. And a solid player that the Yankees, as you saw, have on the trade block currently, so it wouldn't be hard to get him either. And I'm thinking the two guys I'm going to put up would be Jake Burger here, who's been struggling for us. His stats don't look great. He's got a 229 average for us. He's a really good hitter against lefties, but he's just okay against righties. And honestly, he's got no defensive ability whatsoever, which is the biggest problem with this roster. So I think swapping him for someone like Kiner-Falefa, who's a good contact hitter and a solid defensive player at so many different positions, I think it makes sense because he's 26 years old. He doesn't have much potential. He's got lots of team control left, but I think it's the better move for the organization because I doubt that Jake Burger offers us a ton going forward, and it doesn't seem like he's offering us a ton now because we just need to improve defensively, and that's the primary thing I'm trying to do with this move. And I'm not going to make a lot of moves this season, but I just needed to make a defensive adjustment, and for somebody who could play in place of Elvis Andrus, who's really struggling and showing his age lately as he plays for the final year of his contract. The primary piece in this trade definitely is Jake Burger, but I'm also going to be giving up Jackson Frazier here, a C potential 28-year-old left fielder, just for a little bit of fielding depth for the Yankees because that was a position they were interested in. He's having a solid enough season in AAA at a 245 average. He looks solid. He's got an option left, and I'm going to throw him in here just because he's in the last year of his deal anyway. Actually, he might have a little bit of arbitration left, but he's pretty much a nothing player for us. He's not going to do anything for us. He's a player that they can have in their system to, be in the farm system and be available if they have some injury trouble, and it just pushes the deal through. But it's primarily Jake Burger for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, a guy with a lot of team control and a little bit of upside for a guy who's at the end of his time of contract, end of his team control, who can hopefully come in and play a solid outing for us this season, for the rest of this season, in Elvis Andrus' place at second base. Play a solid contact hitter and a solid defensive player, hopefully. And this is a look at how the lineups look now with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa thrown in there and Elvis Andrus moving to the bench. Andrus is actually on a hot streak, but his overall is falling hard. His stats aren't especially good, and even his defense at times has been less solid lately. We've also made one swap here, moving Victor Reyes, who's started terribly since coming into the organization, since moving up to the MLB team at least. He's playing horribly with a less than 1 average, and I'm just going to move him to the bench against righties and let Billy Hamilton start because Billy Hamilton's at least a really good defender and sometimes can hit against righties. So we're going to try that for a little bit. His right field continues to be a position of worry, but I don't want to rush Oscar Colas back yet. Colas has started pretty solidly with a little bit above a 240 average in the AAA system, so hopefully he continues to play well down there, and I want to see some of his stats that started falling come back up before I call him back up to the major leagues, because if I call him up again this year, I want him to be here till the playoffs, because I don't want to waste another one of his options right now. And I'm also going to take a minute to talk about a few of the prospects that I've scouted moving forward towards the draft. We only have 4 more weeks of scouting left at the end of all this simulating, and we've got a few position players that I wanted to look at because we've primarily focused on pitchers so far. The first of them being Carlos Cervantes, a catcher. Catcher is a position we need to strengthen, and of course he wouldn't be ready immediately, but he looks like he's going to be a solid contact bat, and he has really good defensive stats as well. The arm is probably still not quite where we would want it to be, but long-term I think it can grow to a decent enough level to at least be a starter, and he could possibly even have all-star potential, but it looks like he'll cap out at a high B, But, I mean, that's a really good catcher, and honestly, I just want someone who can hit and primarily is defensively solid. You can see the MLB board does not have him very high. We have him at 36. I'm hoping he would at least fall to our second round. I would definitely not use a first rounder on him. It'd be great if he'd even fall to the third round, but he's definitely a guy we got to look at, the Mexican-born catcher here. He's 6'3", he's a big guy, pull hitter, which I like, and he could also play first base. I'm not sure he really would. I'm not sure the power's there for that, but it's an option. It's something he could do if need be, and hopefully he would be a good look at catcher. We also have first baseman Eddie Espinoza, and this guy doesn't have a ton of potential. It looks like it's going to be a low B, high C, but he starts out at a really solid overall, the first baseman. He's already going to be a fantastic hitter, and he has room to improve even a little bit more to build up his power, and I think he could be a really good player, and a player I definitely would look at to come in, because Andrew Vaughn has been good so far, but maybe he needs somebody to just challenge him. Maybe Eddie Espinoza could be a guy that comes off the bench and is just a really good pinch hitter for us, and I would love to have that. He looks like he honestly might be kind of nasty, and maybe he can play corner outfield as well, or first base, and just be an off-the-bench option. At 23 years old, he's played all 4 years of college, coming out of the Dominican Republic, and he looks like a really solid player. Our board likes him. I'm not sure I'll take him that highly, but he does look solid, and he's a player I would definitely consider. We also have Jackie Schaefer in left field. He doesn't look great, but he potential-wise, his potential might actually be lower than his overall, so I'm not sure I would take him. I won't spend long talking about him, but basically, decent enough fielder, good bat, a guy who might be a bench option, and a late pick. I would not go anything past the 4th round. I think he'll be too high on the board for that, so I don't think we'll have to worry about Jackie Schaefer. A player I do like at left field is Juan Cora, and we can see he is about the 56th rank, for us at least, at 59 on the big board, and I like how he looks. A solid fielder, hopefully he can build up that defense a little bit better, but a really good contact bat, so somebody who can get on base and hopefully play a little bit of defense for us. I like him. I think he would be a good pick with our 2nd or 3rd pick in the draft. And again, somebody I'll look at, but again, not somebody who I think is going to be the first pick, which at this rate is probably going to be a pitcher. Although I say that, I do immediately come to Thomas Stevenson, a guy I really like. And this guy looks amazing, the right fielder. He looks like he's solid at multiple positions, can play anywhere in the outfield, probably a decent defender, and a very good bat. Somebody I could see definitely making his way, being a really solid player for us. At 18 years old, it looks like could be a decent overall right off the bat, but has a really good potential, and definitely somebody that if he falls to me, I'm going to look at taking him in the 1st round. I worry a little bit that his signing bonus is kind of high, and we don't have a lot of money. I think about $7 million, but we'd probably be able to make it work. I like Thomas Stevenson, and if I don't end up going for a pitcher, this is probably the position player that I would take off the board first. And the last one I'm going to look at today, Bob Felsch, a solid-looking shortstop. Doesn't look like he has a ton of potential, but a guy who would fall again to the 2nd or 3rd round, a very good-looking defender. His fielding and reactions aren't super high, but his arm looks really good. And as we've seen with Tim Anderson, the defense isn't really what gets him. He fields fine, even in the high 60s. It's his arm that keeps getting us in trouble with his inaccuracy and inability to throw it to first accurately. So that's what we need. He also looks like he has some potential on the offensive side, as it looks like he would be a really solid contact bat. And hopefully, if we did go after him, he would be solid. Definitely another player I'll look at. 21 years old, not too old. And all of these guys are really solid options, but these are just some of the position players that I like the most from the scouting. I'll look at a few more before the draft gets here. We've got, again, 4 more weeks before it comes up, and hopefully we can find what we're looking for. Anyway, guys, that's the look at our scouting. Let's get a look at how the calendar is going as we look at what was a really good month of June. I said May at the beginning of the episode because, of course, I did. But a really good month of June here as we ended up having a mostly winning record here in the month. And we move to 37 and 41 as we hover around 500. And hopefully we can at least maintain those numbers, but I want to see us improve just a little bit more. And maybe the trade for Isaiah Canaflefa is going to push us a little bit beyond that and can get us a positive. I'd really love to see us make a push for a wild card spot. As you can see here, we are still 4th in our division, 37 and 41, but it's really close with the, somehow, Kansas City Royals leading the division at 41 and 36. But anyway, guys, I think we can say that we've definitely seen some improvement in this episode. We actually saw us win for once, though it was against a really bad Tigers side who've improved a little bit, it looks like, 22 and 54. Maybe not. But they're definitely the worst team in this division. At least we proved we're better than them. But hopefully that we can continue to improve from our 21st rank there, continue to get better with these small moves that we keep making to just improve our roster a little bit defensively, but maintain the offense as much as we can and just try to find some consistency. We'll move on to the next episode. Probably going to play either against the Red Sox or against Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. We will see what we're gonna do in the next episode. But sorry that it continues to be these one-game episodes that are a little bit shorter, and sorry if it's just, I don't know. I'm probably a little bit off right now, but let's just say work's really busy. We got a lot going on, but I'm trying to pump these out for you at least one a week, just to keep some content going as I try to move this series forward, because I don't want it to take forever. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look out for the next episode, hopefully next week at the same time. And I really appreciate all you guys watching, even through days like this where I continue to over and over just slip up on my words. But I really don't have time to just record this over and over. So I'm sorry. I've tried. I don't know what it is today. I just keep saying the wrong things, but it's okay. You know, it was the month of June the whole time, but it's okay. I appreciate you guys for watching, hanging around. I do hope you enjoy the content, the game at least. Next game, we're going to play somebody a little bit more challenging as we hope to see this roster continue to improve. See you guys in the next one.